session. It is assumed that you are giving your consent to share the recording of this meeting on social media pages. A very good evening to all present here. This is Anisha Kalra from our very own prestigious Kirorimal College. We have all gathered here today, virtually of course, for an extremely enlightening session by Raj Mehra, who is a golden graduate peer of ours, on the subject, the unartificial intelligence. I'm sure that we all have been eagerly waiting for this day, since we have now stepped towards the third day of the KM Alma Connect 2021 to celebrate the Founders Day week. With this, I officially welcome our precious guest and request Seema ma'am to hold the stage.
Good evening, everybody. As all of you know, there are certain factors which are considered for judging the performance of an educational institution. These are the academic performance, co-curricular and extracurricular activities, overall environment and investments that we make in that institution over a period of time. But there is still an important factor which only requires willingness, support, and encouragement, and in turn brings strength and raises the reputation of the institution. And that factor is the alumni of the alma mater. With this understanding and belief, the Kirorimal College Alumni Network, which has been formed recently and which is going to act as a bridge between the alumni and the current students. It would not have been possible to have such a connecting arrangement with our very own alumni without the sensitivity, firm stand, and support of our principal ma'am. We at KMC Network very well understand that when selected countries in Asia Pacific are aging, India is a youthful country. Therefore, celebrating our young alumni achievers has been chosen as the theme for a week-long celebrations of Founders Day from January 31st to February 6, 2021. We are holding panel discussions and speaker sessions on topics which are highly relevant, interesting, and topical. By inviting our young alumni as speakers who are developing or acquiring specialization in different fields from management to entrepreneurship to family businesses on this knowledge sharing platform, we intend to build 21st century skill sets of our students, which encompass a range of competencies, including critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, digital literacy, civic responsibility, and global awareness. We also want to ensure that though the academic activities carried out by this network, that learning goes on and the academic pressures and mental anxieties of our students during this pandemic are overcome. We at KMC Alumni Network not only want to celebrate the achievements of our young alumni, but we also want to encourage, foster, and promote close relationships among the young alumni themselves and with their very young juniors in KMC through this network. Moreover, through this platform, we are giving them an opportunity to acknowledge their gratitude to their alma mater and to have a continuing interest and loyalty to KMC. On the day 3 of these Founders Day celebrations, we welcome Mr. Raj Mehra in KMC Alma Connect 2021. Raj, we want to celebrate your achievements together on this platform today evening. Over to Anisha. Kindly introduce our guest, please.
Taking the meet forward, I must now introduce our elevated guest. A proficient public speaker with an outgoing disposition, Raj is a BCom Honours graduate from Kirodimal College, Delhi University, batch of 2017. Presently, having been a high achiever at school, considering both academic adeptness and extracurricular association, ambition is a source of consistent drive to move ahead with his career, exploring opportunities time and again in initiating Enactus program at KMC and being the head of marketing at it. As the president, leading and reorganizing the Commerce Society of the college, and regularly being a part of internships in quest for healthy working environments. Raj is a diverse learner and a people's person with a keen interest in networking and communication and an elaborate skill set to deliver exactly that. It is an honor and a once in a lifetime opportunity to hear from you, Raj. I welcome you to this platform of exchanging knowledge. With this, I now formally ask you to begin with your session.
Thank you, Anisha. That was an overwhelming introduction. Thank you, Seema ma'am, for this opportunity. I couldn't have asked for more. It's a good platform that I'm back to college and connecting with people. And this is something that I really like to do. But before, I think, like Anisha said, can you guys please switch on your videos? It becomes more personal that way because it just helps me to connect. Because I wish we would have been doing this face to face, but it's better if I can see your faces and just realize that if you're understanding what I'm trying to say.
I believe people are very comfortable. It's the
Hmm.
evening time. They're probably taking a cup
I
of
know it's
coffee
okay. It's
and
okay.
you know
No,
relaxing
please turn
with.
on your cameras. Let us make
You
the
just
session
for
more
me to know.
interactive. That is what we are striving for.
Right. I'll wait just for 2 minutes and then I'll begin.
Nikita, Gauri, Harshit, nobody is going to judge you. Yeah. Please turn on your cameras.
Ma'am, a few minutes will do it. Just a few minutes, please.
Okay. I think we have quite a few people who switched on their cameras. Do I have the permission to share the screen? No, I don't. Anisha, would you have access to? Can you give me access to sharing the
Raj,
screen?
I have
No,
access to that, but
Abhimanyu will give.
I guess someone is already sharing his or her screen. Mohit, you are requested to stop sharing your screen first. Uh, Raj, I believe now you can share your screen.
I guess there's some disturbance in Abhimanyu's network.
Okay, I have the access now. I have the access.
Is it all right now, Raj?
Yeah, I have the
Okay,
screen.
perfect.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, yeah. I can. Yeah. All right. So shall I start? That why I chose to name this session the unartificial intelligence. I think most of us as commerce students or economic students are quite aware with how the startup ecosystem is functioning these days, or how artificial intelligence and machine learning are the upcoming things that are coming in the market, and how every investor and every entrepreneur wants to put in all their mind and money into uh, artificial intelligence. And we've been really intrigued all throughout what artificial intelligence is, that how computers are learning to provide us with more stuff. But have you ever stopped to wonder what unartificial would mean? So what the fact that I named this unartificial intelligence is because the same a computer can be applied to, say, people, the same logic that how people learn. of how people are supposed to grow in their lives. That is artificial intelligence. And I think my definition quite explains it to you. So this talk will be a theory of how we as people learn, and it will be mapped to specifically of how I learned in the last few years. So hello, everyone. I am Raj Mehra. I am a BCom Honors graduate from Kirodimal from the batch of 2017. And I'm currently working as a UI, UX, and product consultant for various startups. I was formerly working at T9L, which is India's first startup studio. And what startup studio is, I'll come to that later when I come to that part. The assistant vice president for product and design at T9L. So where do I start? I think one thing before I start with the session is I want to set a few disclaimers that no advice, or as our generation likes to call it, gyan, will be given in the session. I'm just here to share my experiences in life, and I wish that they can help you, as I'm like 5 years senior to you. So I just hope that my contributions or my experiences can help you learn in some or the other way. So I'll start my journey with what I do and how I do it. I think I last remember that being that boy in second year of college who was lost in his own world of confusions. And as most BCom batches or economy people in my batch had started to consider that what they want to do post-college, or how they want the next 2 years of college to be, what internships do they want to do they want to study further, do an MBA, do a CA or a CS. And I, on the other hand, had zero idea of what I want to do in life. I was still exploring, and I was still confused that whether is this the field that I want to continue working in, whether it's something else that I want to explore, whether it's a mixture of the two things that I want to explore. So, but all I knew was that I was not married to the preconceived notions of what a commerce student. And you do a commerce course in college, and then you end up being a CA or an MBA or being an analyst. All I knew was that I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to explore where can I use my learnings from what I've gained in college or what I've gained in school. So, but however, giving into the pressure of the peer pressure, I started looking for internships, and I hit the golden buzzer. So the first internship that I started with was BitGiving, and that's the logo you see right there, the yellow logo that you see. And why I chose BitGiving was because it was a crowdfunding platform. Now, crowdfunding as a concept was very new at that point of time, at least for my generation of people in and around colleges. Nobody had heard what crowdfunding is. Now, if you look at the terminology of crowdfunding, it's very easy. Crowdfunding. I've never seen it functioning at a very professional level and say that, okay, how do you fund something from money that has come from the crowd? But the idea was just as simple. Say, for example, that you require something, you have a project in mind, but you don't have the money for it. And you go ask someone for, say, 10,000 rupees, but that's too large an amount for one person to give it to you. So what you do is you go to maybe 100 people and ask for $100 each. And that's it. And I think we as people have enough people who can contribute $100 to us, whether it's family, relatives, friends, etc., etc. So it was such a nice concept that, okay, there are people who have medical needs. There are people who have brilliant ideas. There are people who have product ideas that they want to come up with, but they don't have the funds for it. And what they can only do as an individual is collect money from people. And now this platform was giving them somewhere to connect with the entire community, to connect with Pan India and say that, okay, you can collect money not only from your state, but all over the country. So this was very exciting. And I took up that opportunity. I started my journey as a marketing and sales intern because that's what I related the most coming from a commerce background. But then quite soon, I moved to a PR role wherein I was writing press releases for them, doing a lot of content and design for them. And finally, what came to my mind was the fact that at the same time, when this bid giving internship had started, I had applied for, or I had stood for, the post of the president of the Commerce Society. And fortunately, I became. And so I wanted to do something that can combine the two things that I was doing. I wanted to see what can I do for college that comes from the startup or the internship that I'm doing. So we started with the College Ambassador program, wherein we went up to colleges and said that, oh, you have a festival coming in, you have and college students are used to doing events and they require money from it. And sponsorships, I think we know, and if any of you have done sponsorships before, we know that it's very difficult going to 100 people, asking for money, and just clarifying and just becomes a tedious job. So what we did, we started campaigns with a lot of colleges wherein they would put up their campaigns, connect with a lot of like a out of it that, okay, hey, there are 10 colleges who are trying to do a campaign of 20,000 rupees, and whoever wins gets extra money from the company. So it was a very exciting place to be at. And I think that gave me the encouragement to take the Commerce Society also a level up, because till then I was used to seeing an SRCC or a Hindu inviting celebrities, inviting people who we look up to as students and doing speaker sessions. So I thought, why not? I mean, Kirodimal is as reputed as or any of these colleges. Why not we do something like that? And I'm glad that my batch had the people who had the same vision that I had. And we finally came up with the idea that, okay, let's do a speaker session and let's pick up topics that are very relatable. And the theme that we took up was change makers, people who are there to make changes in the industries. For example, there was Barkha, but Barkha stands out because she always tries to voice out her opinion. And we know how the media works these days. So it was a bunch of people there who had come from various backgrounds in life and they wanted to do something different, and we gave them a platform. So it was great. And the best fact that we were able to get them without paying any money to them. So, and that's the pre-assumption that when celebrities are there or good people or ideal people are there, you need to pay money to get them to colleges. But that was not true. We were quite convincing enough to get them to college for free. And it was a huge event. It was a huge success. And I think that's one of the biggest achievements that we have, or as people from the batch of 2017. So that was my bid giving story and the Commerce Society story. Cutting straight to the present, I was working as the assistant vice president and a product manager for T9L, which is a startup studio. And this place was exciting more than just a few reasons. I mean, to start with the people that I met there and who I proudly now call family. And secondly, the exposure that I got as a 22-year-old, which I am sure I wouldn't have gotten if I had entered an MNC or become a risk analyst at a company. I'm sure that would have given you the knowledge, but the kind of exposure that we as 22-year-olds and our generation who has so much awareness, who has everything on their fingertips requires, is very different. And we are people who come with a knack for leadership. We are people who want to lead. We are people who want to do things differently. So T9, what is T9L? So T9L is a startup studio. And what a startup studio basically is, I mean, I don't know if you guys know what an incubator is. Can someone say yes, what an incubator? They know what an incubator is. Okay, I'm still waiting. Just a second. Right. Okay. Anyway, moving on. I think, am I still audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, perfect. Right. So T9L as a startup studio was, I'll actually hide this. I on the Zoom thing as well.
No, the full screen is visible, so I mean, it's all right.
Okay, perfect. Great. So coming back to what T9L was. So T9L was formed with the logic saying that hey, 90% of the startups that come into existence fail. And why do they fail? Is because either they made a bad product, either they were not able to hire the right kind of people, or the market was not right. I mean, getting a product to a particular market, that market was not the right segment. So what T9L figured was the fact that if you protect or if you give an environment for a startup at a very early stage, their success rate immediately increases. So what we used to do, that we were involved in a product plan, and we talk you through it, and we see what are the possibilities. We see what are the current startups that are existing in the same ecosystem. And then we used to plan the product journey with them. And when I say product journey, I mean right from the scratch of how your mobile application or how your website is going to look, of how the design needs to be, of what should be the first phase of your product that should go up. Because and that's one thing that I learned. Like, we see such amazing products outside. I think all of us use a Swiggy, all of us use a Zomato, all of us use an Apple Music and stuff like that. But what we don't realize what goes behind these, and that is what intrigued me to join T9L, that what we see is the final product. But what we don't see is the kind of effort that goes into building that application. And see, it's simple, right? You're just ordering products from a restaurant. Food from a restaurant, if I take an example of Swiggy. But there are a lot of features that Swiggy has. And like, for example, they just started with something called where you can pre-schedule your orders, because they started realizing that, hey, people want to schedule something for lunch and they forget, or when they are starting ordering lunch, what they wanted is out of stock. So they started the pre-schedule feature. So when I say we sat with the startup and we defined the MVP, and we say that, okay, this is the product that you have, and these are the only features that are required for you to go into the first phase, because it's very important for you to get into the market. Because if you keep an excellent product, which is perfect, then you can take years, and maybe somebody else will walk up with more money and do the same thing for you. So the learning here was that whatever you have, just get into the market, so that you can realize that, okay, what the user feedback is, how is the industry responding to it, how are investors responding to it for that matter, and then you keep on gradually improving your journey. So I saw a very great example that you don't assemble. So there's one thing called an assembly, and there's one called, so what you do is that, say, this is the bonnet, this is the engine, this is the doors, and you have a car ready. But a startup doesn't work like that. Or a product is, you have a cycle, you have a bicycle, then you go to a tricycle, then you go to an auto, and then go to a car. So that's the growth journey plan. You don't give the customer a car first day. You give the customer a bicycle to start traveling, and then you give the comfort level car by the end of it. That, hey, you were used to using our product, there you go. We have something way better for you. So we were a startup studio which was offering venture as a service, that we build for you. We protect you at a very early stage where you require the support the most. And if you clear that journey, then you can grow multiple times. And if you're not protected at that very early stage, then it's difficult for people to succeed, because people don't have the right kind of network, people don't have the kind of expertise. And what we were there doing is providing you with that. Now, my part in that journey, so this was about T9L, my part in that journey, I started as, I didn't start as a product manager, I started as a tester, and I was doing testing for websites, and that I, as a user, if I'm using a particular website, correct, language correct, are the numbers shown properly, and that made me build myself as a product manager. And then I always knack for managing people, and which is why I did the Commerce Society, which is why I in Actors, and I liked being around people. I liked being on the stage and trying to navigate people through a certain situation. And I think that's what Tom saw in me. And then I became a product manager quite early when I joined the startup. I think it was 6 months down the line that I became a product manager. And then I managed startups from various. I started with working with an e-commerce platform that was fruits to customers, and then moving on to a company which is giving you cars for subscription, and something like Zoom, if you've heard of, but it's not Zoom that I worked on. And then moving on to building a procurement platform for the marine industry, the ships and stuff like that, function, to building a travel booking platform for Muslim-friendly people, and all of that. So various industries, various backgrounds of people, diverse entrepreneurs coming from diverse experience, and that is the kind of that I gained. So I'm really glad that I chose the journey because this was something that I don't think would have come to me if I had joined a bigger company. This was something, the kind of responsibilities that I got at a very early stage were very crucial in building my personality today. So yeah, so this was the T9L journey. And post 1 year, the next thing that I started to do at T9L was making presentations for these startups, which they would then send to investors. Now, I know when I say presentations, you would think that, oh, that's such an easy job to do. But what I realized in this journey was the fact that hey, we were doing presentations wrong all along. We were just putting information together in 5 slides and sending it to people. What we didn't realize that it involves an art of storytelling. And if you can see my screen, and this is a bonus for you if you guys want to work something, if you have some idea that you want to function or you want to be entrepreneurs, I think this is the sequence that you can build your presentation in. And this will help you get into the core of the idea and realize the fact that it's not just making a presentation. It's about telling somebody else your story. It's telling somebody that why you believe in something and why is it that you want to solve that particular problem that you want to solve. So I never thought that making, say, a homepage for a platform it involved the art of storytelling. For us, storytelling was just books. For us, storytelling was never websites. For us, storytelling was never presentations. For us, storytelling was never building a mobile application. Say, for example, you watch Netflix. And why do you like Netflix? One, because it gives you very nice recommendations. Second, the layout is quite clean. And you know for a fact that, okay, it's so easy to navigate. So say, for example, if you go onto YouTube and it took you 15 minutes to actually open up a video, you'll be tired. You wouldn't go back to the platform. But YouTube made it so easy for you, without you knowing it, to search a video, open it, and then give you recommendations for the same videos as well. So this is what we do at T9L. We build storylines of mobile applications. We build storylines for a lot of startups belonging to different verticals and different sectors. And then post this, the journey didn't end there. I think this is a quote that I saw from Mike Tyson, that everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And why I say this, that post this journey, the COVID pandemic came and all of us shifted to working from home. And this was a very different ecosystem that we were in. This was a very different structure altogether we were in while we were working for startups, because, hey, you were a tech company, you need to be available to. And then, say, for example, a lot of startups that I was working with, they had to change their business models during the COVID pandemic, because now the normal was not the normal anymore. They had to change their ideas. They had to bring up something new every day. And what I also says that it's time for me also, because it's been 3 years for me working, I need to upskill myself as well. And then, so I was till now defining journeys for products a user needs to navigate to a certain application. Or started knack for I started designing these mobile applications. I started designing these websites. I started putting a lot of thought into these presentations and they were not normal presentations. And I'll say that proudly, because I'm very happy with the kind of presentation my desk and the kind of story they had, the kind of design it had, and it was appreciated. So this is just like a sample of the kind of design that I made, and it was exciting for people to see. So this was a great learning through the COVID pandemic. Eventually, I started taking on freelancing clients, and now I'm a full-fledged consultant who's working for various startups, who's not only, and I'm working as a product manager for some, I'm working as a consultant for some, I'm working as a product consultant for some, I'm working as a design consultant for some. And it's helping me grow. It's helping me learn more. It's helping me realize there is so much more to do out there than in this particular industry, because now everybody wants to move online. Since you can't have a physical presence, everybody wants to move online. Everybody wants to get into get on the web. So this was a great learning. And so before I move on, I wanted to discuss this one theory that I came across during the pandemic, and that certainly changed a lot of things for me. And why this theory stood out is one very particular reason. So what this theory says, and this is called the Golden Circle theory by Simon Sinek, and you can check it out on video on YouTube. There's a lot of content about this video, but I just wanted to, and I'm sure some of you guys might know of, but some of you who don't, it's a theory that says that for us, and this doesn't apply to business situations, it also applies to your personal situations as well. Let's say it's always easy for us as individuals to answer what we do and how we do what we do. But this theory says that focus more on the why, on why you are doing something, on why is it to do something. And I think I said it earlier as well. For us, the job was to sit with these startups and see that why is it that you want to solve this problem? Is it something that only you are facing? Or is it something that a mass is facing? So why is the most basic question. And if you still haven't understood, I'll give you a very common example that I think most of us will relate to, and that's the example of Apple. Now, we all love Apple products, and I mean, I personally do, and I don't think I'm ever going to shift from an Apple to any other device. And there's a reason to it. There's a reason to the fact that the kind of marketing that Apple does, the kind of products that Apple makes, yes, they're expensive, but why are people still willing to pay that price? Why are people still willing to cut that amount every month from their salaries and give it for an Apple product? It's because that's what Simon Sinek analyzed, is saying that we think what generally people do is think outside in. They first answer the what. What we do, we make computers. How we do it, we put these features, we put these things, and it's a brilliant computer that we have done. Why we are doing it? Well, because we need to make money. What Apple does is think inside out. And how that happens is basically why Apple wants to do what they do is because they want to challenge the status quo. They want to do things differently. They want to take the road less traveled. How they do it? They do it by making beautiful products. They do it by engaging consumers through their marketing. They do it by not just creating a simple mobile ad for a mobile that they're doing. They want to see you and they want to show you the journey of how your life would be if you buy that particular phone. And what they do, they happen to be a computer company as well. So this theory stood out so much for me that I think in my life, I started questioning the why first and not the what. What am I doing was not the important part for me. For me, why am I doing what I'm doing was the first step in this process. And then the how and the what easily followed. And I think so this theory, if you want to look up, if you want to discuss more, I'm available for it. And so I think why, the basic question being why, and then since I've answered what I do and how I'm doing it, I'll now come on to the why. Why I'm doing it is because I always wanted to be a part of something unusual, and be it my own idea or someone else's. And why I loved doing what I'm doing is because T9L as an organization was gradually helping me find my sweet spot. it was giving me the opportunity to juggle between so many things. I started from a tester to being a product manager to handling the HR to taking interviews for people to managing the coffee machine in the office and getting regular stocks for the coffee and managing people who are way older to me and working hard every day to earn their respect. And it was a place where I could combine my two loves, that was creativity and management. And it gave me a platform to do that. So I found my passion without even realizing where it lay, just because I think I left my doors open for anything and every opportunity that was knocking by. And there's no denying that I'm still a work in progress and I have a lot to learn. But I think what I'm trying to say here is the fact that don't define yourself to what is meant or what is defined already for a commerce or an economics student. If you have a passion, and I know it sounds very cliche when I say if you have a passion, follow your passion. No, I say it because I also don't come up from a very lavish background that, oh, I have liberty to do anything that I want. No, I come from a very humble background and I still wanted to do things differently just because it gives me mental peace. And I would recommend you the same, that use these 3 years of college not just to plan what you want to do post college or what you want to study post college. Use this time to see what's out there. And even if you're interning for 2 days in a company, just take that opportunity. Because one thing I'll tell you, that leaving a company early or switching too many jobs doesn't have a lot of impact these days. It doesn't matter. For them, it's your experience that counts. For them, it's what you are bringing to the table. It's not your resume. Your resume is the first step for getting in. But when you're there, it's what you bring to the table. And you'll be able to bring more to the table if you've experienced more, if you've experienced more for your age. So I think that's the conclusion that I want to make, that I think it's been a great journey for me only because I chose to do things differently. I networked with a lot of people, whether be it from my school, whether be it my teachers, whether be it the friends that I had in college, to continuously see what they are doing in life, to continuously see if I can add something to the table, to continuously see that hey, this seems something different. Can I be a part of it somehow? So just keep networking with people. It's okay to ask silly questions. And it's okay if you say that I don't know. I think for me, the best part, now that I look in hindsight, is the fact that I always said that I don't know what I want to do. The best part was that, and which is why I think I let in anything and everything that came into my way. I was not restricted to a thought that hey, okay, this is tuck, this is what I want to do in life. No, I was very comfortable in saying that, hey, I don't know what I want to do. That's something that sounds interesting. Okay, let's go ahead, do it. So I think that's the message that I want to, and if this excites you, please get in touch. These are my social media channels. And if you're interested, I'll be glad to connect and help you. If you have any idea, if you want to do something interesting, I'll be here to help you always. Thank you. That's my time, I think.
Okay, thank you, Raj. Now we are open to questions. So if anyone has any questions, they can either put it in the chat box or unmute themselves and speak to him directly.
Yeah, I'd rather if you can questions rather than messaging. Just help me to interact with you guys more. Wow, nobody has a question.
No, actually I do. So am I allowed to ask?
Yeah. Hi, Nishkash. Yeah.
Hi, I was really impressed by your presentation and the Simon Sinek theory. I mean, I watched it on YouTube several times, so that's really awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, so you mentioned about the importance, technically, you mentioned about the importance of working for startups because it's about the exposure, right? To be able to build yourself. So my question would be, how do you actually find a startup that is good enough and will ensure that it will give you enough exposure for you to build yourself? Because I mean, now there's a lot of startups, right? So how do you filter it according to you? and how do you find the good ones?
Okay, so great question, Nishkash, and I think my mind is, I don't know where to go with this question, but okay, I'll tell you two things. See, if it's not just about finding a startup, I chose a company like T9L because I had no idea that, okay, I want to be into this particular industry. If you have an idea, okay, say you want to get into travel and tourism, or say if you want to get into platform, and you have that idea that this is the industry that I want to work in, then you explore startups within that industry. But if you don't know and you want to explore that what most startups are doing, there are a lot of service agencies that are out there. There are a lot of agencies which are working for multiple startups, right? They are creating mobile applications, they're creating mobile apps and websites, they're creating hardcore hardware startups. So you can look at servicing agencies which are for these startups rather than joining a particular startup, because I think that would be a great approach, because one, you wouldn't be restricted to an industry from day one. Because say you're entering into a particular industry, your thought process just aligns to that. That okay, I want to be a specialist in that particular industry, and that can be a great approach too. But if you have that thought process in you, if you think that you want to be a generalist and you want to know that how startups function in general and how they grow in general, I think it will be a great idea for you to get into these servicing agencies. There are a lot of them in Delhi. There are a lot of them in Bangalore. And I think during the pandemic, had looked for a lot of them, and we used to do internal competitive analysis and stuff like that for our own company. So I think I can help you find those. It'll be quite easy.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, that was it.
Does that answer your question? Does that answer your
question?
question?
Yeah, it definitely did.
Okay. Right. Okay. Anybody else?
I mean, till someone else is curating, can I have one more shot?
Please.
Yeah, sure. So you decided to work for an incubator, right? So
yeah,
you're currently working for an incubator, right? So I mean, so do you actually believe in, I mean, do you believe that startups should work with an incubator? Should they, I mean, go pro and do it themselves? I mean, what?
So I think, so we were not just an incubator, Nishkash, we were an incubator plus an accelerator. So
okay.
We were a combined version of both, right? So
I think it would be better if you could explain everyone else what an incubator is, so that we don't out of context.
Cool. Yeah, sure. So basically what an incubator is, that it's an organization which is providing you the safe space. It's basically how you incubate microorganisms in a biolab to help them grow. It's basically helping your idea grow. And what they're doing is, say, providing you technology resources, space to work in, and then providing you with particular people who can help you grow in that industry. And what an accelerator does is that, say, you have already gained some traction in your industry. You are a startup which has existed for the last 2 years or 3 years, and then you want to grow further, you want to go upscale. And an accelerator accelerates your growth. They give you the right network, they connect you with the right kind of investors, they connect you with the right kind of people who can help you grow in that industry. They're not giving you resources anymore because you've become a startup that has its own resources. It's now helping you connect to the right kind of people so that you grow in that particular direction. So coming back to your question, Nishkash, so we were a combination of both an incubator and an accelerator. And I do feel that, yes, with the model that I saw here, I think it's very important initially for people to work with structures like these. And I know where your question is coming from, because somehow incubators and accelerators tend to hinder the growth for startups and tend to take a lot of money and I think squeeze them out completely.
It's not about the money. Sometimes incubators I've feel that, yeah, they try to push, and that's sometimes what startups are not willing to do. So, I mean, is it always essential that a startup should get an accelerator or an incubator? I mean, how
it's
essential,
not essential
it is?
But I'll say it's quite essential. Yeah. Why I'm saying that is because I saw all the startups that we also worked with were not something, were not, what do you call it? Were not all successes. There were failures. And we, as an organization, also didn't pick up startups that ended up becoming huge successes. Because for us, I don't think it made sense back then when the idea had come to us. So I'm not saying that this is a foolproof model. Why I'm saying that this is important is the fact that if you want to make a tech product, you don't come from background itself. And I know what goes into building a technology product, the kind of team, the kind of resources that are required, the cost that you need to bear at the first very initial stage. And then looking at the fact that designers or hiring freelancers, if you accumulate the cost of the kind of resources that you require at a very early age, it's very difficult for people to have that kind of resources at the very beginning. Either you come from a background that you have all the money in the world, that you can go ahead, hire resources, and you can build that idea. Great, you can do that. Or you have all the skills in yourself or your family that, oh, my brother does this, my sister does this, and we together create a startup. Either it's that. For generally, and that's what I saw, because we a lot of ideas, we had meetings about a lot of ideas. I think it was very helpful because we could just add that weight. So we were giving them a platform that let's debate about your idea. Let's see where, till when can you carry your story? Till it is just work for an with an accelerator, that's also fine, because till then you have built your resources. But I think that kind of expertise that this organization was providing them was very helpful to them at that early stage.
I mean, so it's
And which
like
is why
a
I think
guide that startups get, a book,
Yeah.
a handheld
Exactly.
dictionary which they could turn around.
Yeah.
Okay, so just
And
one
and,
last
and this
question.
dictionary was sorry, and just one tangent. This dictionary was people talking to them. This dictionary was just not a booklet that I've given to you. These were people talking and having discussions in one common room, and which is why I've seen personally models pivot the very first day, and I have seen models pivot from, hey, we're helping you buy used cars, and hey, we're helping you buy luxury cars, but no, hey, we're giving you cars for subscription now, and hey, listen, these are for short durations now. So I've seen a model pivot in the span of 2 years to 4 different business models, finally coming onto a success. And I know for a fact that could have not been done if that organization like T9L would have not been in the picture. And I mean, there always will be people who will eat you up, and there always will be people who are there to help you. So yeah. Anyway, continue with your
So
question.
last question, promise.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm enjoying this.
Oh,
You're helping me think
thanks.
more.
I mean, since you mentioned USPs and all those things, I mean, I've read that in India itself, there are now more than 3 lakh plus startups every year starting. So I think it could be possible that what I'm starting, someone else has already started, right? There could be,
Yeah.
I mean, tens of similar startups. So
Yeah.
having been worked with so many startups, what golden advice would you give that I could beat my competition like they're nothing and bring myself to the top? How do I do that? How do I distinguish myself from them? Apart from, I mean, obviously I'll be having my USPs, right? But I don't think USPs are enough. I mean, there has to be something else which will help me beat my competition if if there is competition, and there will always be competition, because there's going to be people who will try to knock you down, and then how do you beat those people?
I think it's been just 4 years for me working here, so I'm not an expert here. But I think from my learning, I would say just get your product out there the soonest. That's going to help you the most, and which is where the point of defining that minimum viable product comes into the picture. That what is that one thing that if you give to the consumer, and I'm not saying a USP here. I'm not saying that, oh, go with your USP to the market and that will help you stand out amongst your competition. I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't try and make a perfect product. Don't try and give the consumer the best product on day one. Try and build that journey. Try and retain that consumer from the very first day. It's very important that you go into the market rather than staying in your own office and saying that नहीं नहीं हमारा जब product perfect बनेगा हम तब market में जाएंगे because हम shabby product नहीं देना चाहते. Nobody is saying that give a shabby product because on day one anyway your people will stop using your product. But what I'm saying is that if you know that there's a market out there, if you know that there are people to use that mobile application or that website or that product out there, just go to the market, build that niche product or build that minimum product and go to the market, so that will give you the first mover advantage, right? We as e-commerce students, I think we learn the first mover advantage. Like, get that advantage, and then you will be the one who's learning from user feedback. You will not be the one who's working on your own assumptions, who's working on saying that, hey, I perceive this problem in this particular way. Maybe I don't perceive that problem. Maybe these people don't perceive the problem the same way that you do. So going to the market the earliest will help you gain that perspective, and it will help you grow your product better. That's it. I think that's what I think can help you stand out to your competition. Because see, for example, I think if I were to take an example in this case, say for example, Spotify for that matter, right? We all use Spotify. Spotify was not the best product that was built the very first day, right? It was just two people sitting in an office and saying that music should be easily available. You don't need to buy vinyls and do this and stuff like that to listen to music. And people find pleasure in listening to music. So they build a minimal viable product where saying that, okay, hey, you can create your own playlist because you like sharing music. You can share that playlist with your friends and you can listen to them by paying a certain fee. That's it. And on the first initial phases, you will have it for free. And if you like it, you want to pay for it. Otherwise, you will listen to mobile ads for that matter. So they didn't see that, you can curate your libraries, or you can follow artists, or you can keep getting recommendations. No, that was not the strategy. The strategy was to make music easily available and share it with the people you love. Share the music you love with the people you love. That was the basic idea. So they got into the market, and now they've become the best product in the market. Why? Is because they gave that product and now they keep building on it. They keep learning from user behavior that what needs to be improved in their mobile application. So your product doesn't have to be perfect on the very first day. Just get out there and see what maybe you'll find out, hey, nobody needs it. Only I thought that this was a problem that needs to be solved. So that approach is very important, I think. Yeah.
So I mean, as this conversation advances, there's more questions popping in my mind, but
I think we should get on a separate call, Nishka.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. So I'll just give others the stage and they can ask their questions.
Please. I'm here available. So if you want to chat anytime, and if you've taken my screenshot of the last slide, then you can.
Already done. So.
Great.
So yeah, there is one more question in the chat box asking, where do you see yourself in next 5 years?
Wow. Okay. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I didn't think that I would be working as a consultant when I'm 24, because I do feel that there is, and I always like hierarchy. I always like structures. I always like people above me who can teach me what I'm doing wrong and who can guide me where I'm going wrong and what I'm doing right. So I feel I don't know where I'm in 5 years. Maybe I'm studying, doing a course because I want to get into say a Facebook or a Google, or I want to be a product manager at Google, or I want to be a product manager at Netflix for that matter. But all I know is that I have, in the past year, I've made a list of companies that I want to work in, the kind of courses that I want to do, and maybe I'll be doing that. But I don't have a definite answer of where I see myself in the next 5 years.
So I guess there are not any further questions,
Right.
so we can wind it up. So on behalf of our renowned institution, Kirodimal College, University of Delhi, I, Harshit Ahuja, take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks To those who have directly and indirectly contributed towards the seminar. At the outset, I thank our guest and resource person, Mr. Raj Mehra. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. We are thankful to our honorable site supporting pillar, Dr. Seema Joshi ma'am. Furthermore, I'd like to thank to our principal for his enthusiastic support, Professor Vibha Singh Chauhan, ma'am, who had been a constant support and guiding pathway in our lives to achieve and go out for the best of the best. A special thanks to the organizing committee, teaching and non-teaching staff for their unflinching support and coordination. Our heartfelt thanks to all the students for active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we will move on towards the end of the today's webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Harshit.